Hello, and welcome to another Win Daily Sports Show. My name is Michael Brazil. I got my man Ghost here with me, and we are on day 2 of the NBA season. But man, oh man, there's not just 2 games tonight. We got a whole 13 games on tonight's slate. Ghost man, I know you were excited yesterday, but now we get the juices flowing a little bit. How excited are you for today?
Yeah, this is something else. I mean, to get a slate this big, this early on in the season, it's a lot of fun, and especially for people that are new to NBA DFS, it's very easy to get overwhelmed, honestly, like this. So hoping to help some people out there, whether you're an experienced player or new to the game.
Yes, we are here to talk the NBA. We're going to be coming at it from a fantasy perspective, but don't worry, there's a lot of knowledge that Ghostman is going to be dropping, a lot of fun for us to be had, and a lot of money for us to be winning. Make sure if you haven't already, follow us, follow him at DFS_Ghost, follow me at Michael Brazil1, follow us at Win Daily Sports. Make sure to hop over to windailysports.com/chat. You get 7 free days in that expert Discord chat. We love the chat over here on YouTube, but my goodness, you can only imagine what it is like in our expert Discord chat. And one last time, except it's not actually the last time because I'm going to say it a million more times, our NBA offer, $150 the whole season. If you need help in anything fantasy sports or sports betting, we will help you do that. $150 all the way through the NBA season, every single sport, whatever you need, we got it. We are here to help. We also have wrestling, paving, and
Try not to
concrete
laugh as
for
I'm reading
all your concrete and paving needs, and I guess your asphalt needs too. Appreciate you for hopping in again. Please, if anybody has questions, ask us some questions. We are here to help. We're going to be here for 30-40 minutes. If you got anything, let us know. So might have had a little bit of news drop in the last, 15-20 minutes, and that's why we love NBA DFS. If you're not paying attention to your phone in those 1 hours, 2 hours up to game time, you will not know what the hell is going on. And we had James Harden going to strip clubs, not telling anybody, getting videotaped, and now half of his team looks like they're going to have the coronavirus. So shout out James Harden. Thankfully, I took him first in my season-long draft. Ghostman, how do you think this is going to play out? A, for James Harden, B, for the Rockets, and then C, like, for the league? Like, what are they going to do? They have to discipline this guy at some point, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling like as we speak right now, if I'm in Adam Silver's shoes or anybody that's making a decision like that, you need some sort of either video evidence or something to be able to lay the hammer down. It kind of sucks that it's James Harden. Obviously, people are gonna swirl it into like, hey, this is because of how badly he wants out of Houston and this and that. But you have to use this as an example. It's going to be one long season if every team is doing this, and especially with guys going on the road again, and there's no bubble. Like, this is a recipe for disaster if the NBA just lets it slide. So I know he wants out of Houston. Man, that's an interesting decision. I don't care where he goes. It's more so just the fact that you blatantly defied the NBA protocol for what they have in place to, fight against COVID and really get the season going. And for me, it's not even like, obviously it sucks for us, the media, it sucks for sports fans alike, but it's more so just your peers in the locker room and everyone in the league alike. Like, that you're putting everybody at risk. And now on top of that, you're already delaying games. Like, it's definitely not a good look for James Harden. That's for sure.
First game of the year up against his old team in the Oklahoma City Thunder. This game has been postponed. Thankfully, it's not the NFL where they really only can play once a week. And at least there is the opportunity to find games and gaps in the schedule to allow it to happen. It's going to be difficult. We're going to miss some games, as Ghost and I were talking about on the betting show, deciding, who to take the overs and under on for the season. You're actually betting on winning percentage, because the NBA and pretty much sports books, everybody know there will be a team or a few teams or multiple teams that finish with different number of games at the end of the season. That is just how it's going to be this year. We'll see what happens next year, but at least we get it. And shout out to our man, Brian, going to an acrobatic dance club for Christmas this year. All right. Get some, what were they? Lemon pepper wings. I think Lou will lemon pepper wings down in Magic City, if I'm not mistaken. If I ever find myself in wherever the heck that was, Orlando or Atlanta, I know where I'm going. I can promise you that. So with that being said, we went from a 13-game slate. We are now down to a 12-game slate. We're still going to have a lot of fun. Locks at 7. There's a lot of betting to be done. There is a lot of DFS to be played. So Ghost Man, Let's get into it. Let's start. Let's just go game by game. We'll give the people a little bit, maybe one or two players from each game. And then the games that you really like or really don't like, we can dive into a little bit deeper or stop and pretty much just cross them off. Now, all I'm going to ask is when we do cross some of those off, just let us know why. And if we are diving deeper, again, just let us know why. So let's start with the Charlotte and Cleveland game. We got LaMelo. Right, say it with me, Ghost. It's LaMelo Ball. We got Gordon Hayward. We got Scary Terry. We got a fun team over there in Charlotte. We don't know if any defense is going to be played, but hopefully some points. Cleveland is pretty much ass if LeBron's not there. How are you feeling about this game?
Not necessarily a game that I want to stack full on with like, let's say, for example, two pieces from each side, but it does have some appeal for individual plays. Andre Drummond right at the top of at the pricing grid for this individual game is somebody that sticks out at $8,000. Charlotte's been decimated in the front court for years now, and they continue to not make any changes whatsoever. I mean, Cody Zeller's out there, and PJ Washington is one of the worst defenders at the power forward position, DVP. So I always love to attack this Charlotte Hornets front court, that's for sure. And Andre Drummond is a guy that's a legitimate threat to go 20-20 on any given night. He has the raw talent. For him, it's more so, does he feel like showing up that night, especially in Cleveland? I mean, it's not like he was it's not like he's back in Detroit where he was the face of the franchise or anything like that. In Cleveland, it's kind of, people were saying, oh, his career is going to go down the drain now being out there. And this is a team that's just going to lose a bunch of games. Well, while that's something to definitely take into consideration, you can't deny the fact that in the $8,000 range, you have somebody at a center position, which is a premium position in DFS on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Very hard to get elite centers without paying all the way up into the $9,500, $10,000 range. So getting Andre Drummond that's there for a 2020 candidate against this Charlotte Hornet front court is definitely somebody that I'm interested in. And then you got to look to Larry Nance Jr. filling in for Kevin Love is somebody that's viable as well. More so a cash play for me because of the ownership that he's drawing. Anytime Kevin Love is out, he's going to draw high ownership. But at $6,000, I'm a tad worried about him hitting that ceiling of 45, 50 DraftKings points that we would like from our $6,000 range players, or at least one of them in our lineup. So Larry Nance Jr. is somebody that you could definitely play in cash, and he is dual position eligible as well, so you could slot him at the center position if you're not too sure where to go there. Colin Sexton is somebody that's viable as well at 6,100. He's somebody that really pushes the pace and should thrive in this matchup. I mean, whether he's going up against Terry Rozier or LaMelo Ball, either one of these guys like to push the pace too. So whenever you get 2 point guards going back and forth, a lot of buckets in transition for a guy like Colin Sexton, but he's a scorer. You know that he needs to be able to drop 20 plus actual points for him to start for, to really hit value there. So at 6,100, he's somebody that's a great tournament option as well. And then we're going all the way down to Isaac Okoro. So Isaac Okoro is drawing the start for Cleveland as well tonight, sitting there at 3,400. You'll notice this throughout every single game that we cover. A lot of these rookies or sophomores are grossly mispriced on this slate. So this slate could be overwhelming, but this is a pure stars and scrubs type of lineup construction, what we call it, where you are jamming in guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Ben Simmons, any one of these studs, and you are loading up on this value range in the $3,000 to $4,000 pricing range there. So Isaac Okoro is definitely somebody that will make the majority of my lineups.
What about LaMelo? You didn't even say his name. You sent me a video of him throwing that sweet ass dime on Twitter. You can't even give the guy some love.
I am. He's somebody that we currently have to play just over 27 minutes right now. It's just I'm hesitant playing somebody like that his shot was very inconsistent in preseason. He's somebody that can similar to what his brother does out there in New Orleans. We've seen Zoe drop stat lines where he has 10 rebounds and 10 assists and he gets a double and he puts up 4 points on 3 of 10 shooting. So that's for something where getting LaMelo Ball at 5,400, he's still underpriced given his ceiling that he's capable of. But at 5,400, I'm looking elsewhere on this given slate because of, it's not that he's a bad play. It's more so that other people are just mispriced even more so than LaMelo is.
I love it, man. And just, I forgot to mention it before. Charlotte is favored by 2.5 points with an over under of 217.5, a little bit of the juice coming in on the under. All right, let's move on to the Knicks and the Pacers. This is actually the biggest spread, or at least it was. It's not 7.5. So the Pacers favored by 7.5 at home, over under of 216. So not too high. And it looks like the Knicks are probably going to lose. Or at least that's what Vegas thinks. Oh, wait, quick. Rusling Paving, for all your paving and concrete needs. Is Larry Nance starting, or is it the rookie?
I know Isaac Okoro is already drawing the start. I haven't gotten a chance to look at the full Cleveland lineup just yet because we were prepping for the show. But we did get news that like individually Isaac Okoro is starting. So let me look at that, and I will get right back to you in a couple minutes.
Quick Google search. You actually tell us. How about that? We would appreciate it. We're going to be here for the next 30 minutes. So we love you. We appreciate you, but would love the help too. Let's move over here. Ain't no stopping Obi Toppin. That's really all I got for this game. How do you feel about it?
The only thing stopping Obi Toppin is me from playing him in my DFS line. I'm not playing a single share of this guy. This game is really ugly. You're going to hear me say this throughout the show for at least the next 20 to 30 minutes there. You have to plant your flag somewhere on a slate that had 13 games or at least had 13 games, and now we're down to 12 thanks to James Harden. You have to be able to plant your flag somewhere and be able to cross off games, or else with a player pool of, there are essentially, technically speaking, the potential to have 275 players see minutes on this slate. And we're talking about an NBA lineup that's, you're only looking at 9 guys in your lineup, eight to 9 guys. So depending on which site you're playing. So to be able to plant your flag somewhere, this is a game that I'm completely crossing off my list. 2 slow placed teams. The one and only player that I will have shares of in this game is Domantas Sabonis. One of, if not the most underrated power forwards in the entire league, in my opinion. This guy's a walking triple-double when he wants to be. So being able to take advantage of Julius Randle, and if Obi Toppin wants to slide on him on the defensive end, please do so, because with my Domantas Sabonis shares, that's going to work out perfectly for me because I know he's going to eat him up in the post all day long. He has great vision for a big man, kind of very similar playing style to Nikola Jokic. Definitely not in the same playing. I guess I could say skill level.
Stratosphere.
Not the same skill level, but he plays a very similar game in the sense that his court vision is. It excels for somebody that's out there in the front court consistently throughout the entire game. So with him out there at 7,400, he's somebody that's going to be very underowned.
I love it. Quick question: does Ghost have 2 secret weapons like he did yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. We'll get to them. We promise. All right, let's move on. The defending Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat, are traveling down, or I guess up. I don't actually know how Florida geography works, but they're traveling within the state. Heat are favored by 4.5. The Magic at home are underdogs. We always love to see that. Home dogs are fun. And the over-under in this game is 218.5. Any plays from this game, Ghostman?
Another game that I'm completely fading. These are two defensive, well-rounded rosters. I mean, we always, what Miami did. We got to see a ton of them in the bubble as they made their extremely deep playoff run there. Unfortunately, losing to the Lakers in the finals. But this is a game that I'm completely fading. There's just, when we're talking about, again, planting your flag and really making sure that you're getting exposure to not only the right players, but more so the right game environments. We want games with, yes, the Vegas data. So tight spread and high total are 2 things that, obviously, it'd be nice if we could check off 2 out of the 2 boxes, but more so the pace of play is something that is one of, if not the most important statistic for me when looking at game environment as a whole for an NBA game environment. So when I'm saying about pace of play and the pace that a team plays at, it's just the amount of possessions that they're going to run. So similarly to football, how many offensive snaps is a quarterback or an offensive unit going to play? Are they just going to run the ball forever and then they're not going to play all that much on the offensive end, or are they really going to push the pace of play? So very similar to NBA, we want teams that, they're not just dribbling out there for 23 seconds and draining the entire shot clock. We want people that really push it, buckets in transition, steals, blocks. Let's get the game flowing. Miami, Orlando is not that game.
Not that game. And we're going to actually have Ashley Nicole on in a little bit, probably in the next 20 minutes, to talk about some of these games, who she thinks is going to win. So that should be a lot of fun as well. We have the Washington Wizards. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, the new look Sixers. The Sixers are favored by 7 at home with a high total. There we go. 230.5 with the juice on the over. When you hear me say that, that means more people are betting the over, which is always. Ghost, what is it? Life's way too short, man. Life's way too short to bet the unders. Come on. I mean, we do sometimes, but very, very rarely. And that's only in
futures. In futures, we'll take the unders.
Futures, and if it's raining in a football game, that's when I'll take the under. Outside of that, I'm just not going to take the game because I'm not rooting for no points. What freaking freak are you? All right, let's move on to this game. Washington, Philly. You said we want a tight spread. Not quite a tight spread, but we do have a high total. We do have some stars in this game. How do you feel about this one?
One of the most underrated games on the slate. That's for sure. Secret weapon number one comes in this game right here, and that is Ben Simmons. 6'10" point guard. This guy is going to absolutely destroy Russell Westbrook on the offensive end. Like it won't even make sense. Being able to dominate him in the post and just him and Joel Embiid are going to go to absolute work right now. I feel really bad for Thomas Bryant. Talking about him on our preseason show, everybody knows how high I was on him, on guys like Kobe White, who we're going to talk about in a little bit as well, and a couple other guys. I truly do think that he has a breakout campaign. Talk about a rough debut to your 2020-2021 season, dealing with Joel Embiid. And then on top of that, if Embiid's not in the post, you're likely going to have to face a 6'10" Ben Simmons because he's the definition of a point forward. You know that he's running point, but Ben Simmons is not going to be out there, hitting step back threes a la Steph Curry or Kyrie or KD, like what we were seeing last night. So Ben Simmons is going to get out there in the post. This Washington team was one of the worst teams, DVP, defensive versus position, at the point guard position for fantasy points allowed on both FanDuel and DraftKings last season. And now they just added Russell Westbrook, who every single season that he plays, he can lead the league in turnovers. You're looking at a ton of buckets in transition for Ben Simmons. This is one of the best matchups for him that he could possibly get. And then on top of that, you have Russell Westbrook that, his jump shot is very questionable right now. So look for a frustrated Russ to be able to try and get to the hoop. A lot of turnovers for a guy that can rack up easily 2 steals in this game. Plus, he's going to stuff the stat sheet tonight. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Ben Simmons triple-double. That's for
Ben Simmons triple-double. I know you said you wouldn't be surprised, but let's put some gusto behind it. Ghost is calling a Ben Simmons triple-double. You heard it here first, people. You heard it here first. Quick question. Dwight Howard over Embiid? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
In 2012, not in 2020.
How old was Embiid in 2012?
I'm kidding, Brian.
18?
Obviously, the Nelson Aguilar truther, Brian. Of course, we love you, bro. No, I'm not playing any Dwight Howard right now. With the amount of value that's available on this slate, I'm not getting too cute with playing backup centers or backups really of many positions on here. You got starters that are the stone cold minimum price on DraftKings and FanDuel as well. $3,500 being the minimum on FanDuel and $3,000 being the minimum on DraftKings.
How about someone, actually Brian brought it up as well. One of his favorite lineups, he put fake Curry, which I'm have to assume is my Duke Blue Devil, Seth Curry. How do you feel about him in some lineups?
This is going to be a new look Philly offense. So I do prefer Tobias Harris here just because he rebounds a lot better than Seth Curry does. So when you're playing a guy like Seth Curry, especially just a tad below that $5,000 range at $4,900, you need him to go borderline nuclear on the offensive end because he's not racking up rebounds. He might get a steal or two, but that's not really his game either. On ball defense has never really been his strength neither. So Ben Simmons running point, the assist opportunities will be very limited. You need Seth Curry to be dropping shots early and often and being the fourth, arguably fifth option on that Sixers offense right now, playing with fire at 4,900. There is somebody that I'd rather you get up to at 5,100 in another game that we will mention.
I love it. So just remember, secret weapon number one, Ben Simmons. Let's take advantage of it.
Triple double for Ben Simmons tonight.
Triple double. Ghost is calling it. Can we bet on that? I'm sure we can bet on that. We can find that somewhere. At least PRA.
Take the PRA points. Take the over.
Take the over. Let's move on. Milwaukee and Boston. What is presumably to be the first and another top 4 team in the East. It should be a fun one. We are looking at the Bucks favored by 4 on the road with an over-under of about 223.5 with the juice again on the over. That's what we like to see. So talk to me about this game. I mean, we have Giannis, we have Jason Tatum, we have Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker's going to be out. How do you feel about this game? Because I think this one could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to have a playoff type atmosphere. I mean, you could legitimately see a Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics 7-game series in the Eastern Conference this year. So this game, I feel like the over under, I know the juice is on the over. I wouldn't touch this bet at all with the over under in this one. But this is when I'm talking about the bubble effect, it's a game like this. If this game was played a year ago, the over under would likely be 10 points lower than it is right now. So Vegas is expecting the trend to continue what the bubble was, where it was high flying offenses, not a lot of defense at first, and then teams really buckled down in the playoffs. Typically in the early stages of an NBA season, that's most likely what we're going to get. But you could also argue the other side of things where people can be rusty on the offensive end too. So Giannis is a surefire lock for me in this game if you want exposure to it. Fairly simple play, not much explanation there. leads the league with over 1.9 fantasy points per minute. You know the guy's going to play at least 30 plus minutes. That's a ton of fantasy points for Giannis.
That's a lot of fantasy points.
The biggest DraftKings hack, I guess we would call it, like not life hack, but like DraftKings hack, is that Giannis is now center eligible.
Love it.
On DraftKings. You absolutely love to see it.
Love to see it.
You're debating. Everyone's going to go into the center position and say, hey, am I playing Embiid? Am I playing Jokic? Am I playing Drummond? Am I playing DeAndre Ayton? Am I playing any of these other guys? You can comfortably slot in Giannis Antetokounmpo at the center position now, and that is going to be one heck of a lineup. So if I do have exposure to this game, I will be in the form of Giannis, and I do have exposure to this game. It is in the form of Giannis. In both my single entry 3-max and of course the multi-entry lineups as well. Sitting at only 10.2, very cheap for Giannis.
I'm going to take it. Who doesn't love Giannis? MVP, he's coming out, has to be on fire, right? Just signed that giant contract. You got to do something with it. So we'll see how that bad boy goes. I'm screwing around with my computer a little bit, and we're back. All right, let's move on. We have the New Orleans Pelicans, or the New Orleans Zion Williamsons, against your Tampa Bay Raptors. Raptors at home in Tampa Bay.
Don't do that.
Hey, man, like it's 2020. Shit happens. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
We got the Raptors favored by 4, kind of at home. Over under sitting at 229.5. And I'll be honest, man, like kind of going through these. I did it already multiple times. I read your article free on the website, windailysports.com. Brian's article free on windailysports.com. Stobie's article. All of it is free on windailysports.com. So please, please, please go check all that stuff out. We are here to help you guys make money. But going through game by game, I'm starting to get juiced a little bit. Like last night was fun, but now tonight we get to throw on NBA TV. Hopefully they give us some whip around. It should be a blast, man. I'm juiced. All right. So Raptors, your Raps, favored by 4. Pascal Siakam should have won most improved player again. I can understand why they didn't want to give it to him twice. Brandon Ingram ends up winning it. Zion Williamson, absolute stud. Let's go, Duke. How do you feel about this game?
The Raptors tend to play to the pace. I don't want to say, you know what? No, it is they play to a style more so of their opponents than they do their own game, at least on the offensive end of the ball. So with the Pelicans really pushing the pace, I mean, they added Eric Bledsoe to that backcourt as well. He's a guy that can push the pace when he wants to, even though he's in the latter stages of his career. The Raps are probably going to do the same, and they will end up doing the same because they like to end up matching what their opponent does more so that, hey, let's just really slow it down and play our style of game because they're like, hey, anything you could do, I can do better kind of approach, at least on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, completely different story. They play team defense. Nick Nurse has that unit on absolute lockdown right now. Whoever wins the matchup on the wing will win this game. So that would be between Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby versus Zion Williamson and BI Brandon Ingram. Whoever ends up winning those matchups on the wing will end up winning this game. And obviously, you know where I'm going with this one. I am giving the edge to my Toronto Raptors. Of course, the veteran presence of Pascal Siakam, I really do think that, you know what, he had a great season last season and just struggled in the bubble. And people tend to forget what he did 60 games prior to that in the larger scope of work. And the bubble was really tough. We saw what it was doing to Paul George with the mental aspect of his game. And he came out to speak a bit about it as well. And a bunch of other players followed suit. So I'm really expecting big things from Pascal Siakam yet again this season. OG Anunoby is going to have to take a step for them to make a deep playoff run. Starts right here on their opening day, I guess we could call it. So Brandon Ingram is a guy that is overpriced on DraftKings. Very limited exposure to him in my lineups. Definitely not in my single entry or my 3-max. But I will have some on FanDuel where he is underpriced. And especially at the small forward position, very tough to build on FanDuel with that small forward position because, you know, on DraftKings, you get the guys that are dual position eligible. You kind of end up cheating the system a little bit. Can't do that on FanDuel. So feel more confident playing Brandon Ingram on FanDuel than you are on DraftKings. That's for sure.
Love it. And just wanted to get this in here for my Duke fans. Let's go, Brian. BI and Zion in one of each in his lineups. Gotta love it. Thoughts on Van Fleet?
Good matchup for him. That backcourt is exposable. The only thing with the Raptors, again, they love to share the ball. So you can all see, like, they're those guys that will get you what we call in fantasy floor points, meaning that, you know what, they won't completely tank your lineup. If someone's $8,000, obviously we want to shoot for 6-7 times their price. So X amount of points. When we're looking at tournament plays, these $15, $20 tournaments, $40 tournaments, 100 X amount of dollar tournaments, with thousands of entrants in them. We want them to hit 6, 7, 8 times their price to be able to reach value. But Toronto, you can feel confident playing guys like Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry in your cash games where the large majority of the time you only need 5, 5.5 times their price for be able to hit value. A guy like Fred VanVleet will not destroy your lineup, but at 6,700, for him to be able to hit 42, 49 points to hit, 6, 7 times his price respectively, you're asking of him to completely dominate the offense, and that is really not Toronto's game. They're going to share the rock between Pascal, Kyle Lowry, and Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby is going to get involved as well. So I'm off it for tournaments. Good cash play, though.
Cool. And so we have Rustling Paving and Concrete for all your paving and concrete needs. Larry Nance looks like he is starting as of now with the rookie. He does give us the rookie's name. Nance or OG Anunoby? What are your thoughts?
For cash games, I'm going Nance. OG, I'm going to have no exposure to. Again, you got to plant your flag on a slate like this, and there's somebody in a game. I'm trying to remember what time it's at. Just the moment it pops on the screen, I'm going to go directly to that guy because he is grossly underpriced on this slate. And he just takes me off guys like OG Anunoby and other players that we've been talking about in that similar price range.
Still a bunch of games left, man. This is going to be a fun
game. This is the game that I was literally just
Here we go. Atlanta and Chicago. Hawks -2 on the road with an over-under of 233.5. My goodness. Millions of points. Let's go. I mean, we could talk Trae Young. We could talk Zach LaVine. You love Kobe White. Who's your secret weapon?
Danilo Gallinari of the Atlanta Hawks.
Love it.
Prized offseason acquisition. They had an absolute monstrous offseason acquisition, as we've been talking about in our season preview shows. At 5,100, Danilo Gallinari was already on my radar. You already have Rajon Rondo, who's out, so their minutes don't necessarily correlate. Rondo's obviously playing point, and Gallinari is definitely playing up front, usually at the 4, but he can slot in as a taller end wing player as well in the 3. Now you got Clint Capella that's out, and if you heard our season preview show, we predicted that Clint Capella will not finish the season with the Atlanta Hawks. A lot of minutes for John Collins at the 5 with Danilo Gallinari at the 4. Boom, opening day, or at least the Atlanta Hawks opening day, and that's exactly what we're getting right here. You absolutely love to see it. A $5,100 Danilo Gallinari can stretch the floor. This is a prime spot for him against Lauri Markkanen. He's going to absolutely eat up that front court. Chicago was absolutely decimated last season in the front court. They're running it back again with Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. You absolutely love to see it. A $5,100 Danilo Gallinari. This is a game that I am primarily game stacking. So I'm largely going 2 pieces from each side. And we actually got the question from Discord, which I'm going to bring it over in here too and discuss it as well. We got the question at one point, is too many players from the same game too much exposure to the same game? For me, it caps at 4. Very hard for you to have 5, 6, 7 players from the same game and really for them to all hit their ceiling. If you're playing 5 players and the large majority of them would have been punts, like what we call like the $3,000 range guys, maybe even $3,500 guys, similarly what we would have got in Houston with guys like Sterling Brown and all these other cheap value plays. That's where you could end up loading up and feel confident playing 3 guys from the same team. But for here, I'm locking it down with 2 from the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going Danilo Gallinari with Trae Young, and you already have it on the screen. I'm going Zach LaVine with Kobe White, the backcourt duo of the Chicago Bulls. You know that they're going to count on them tremendously throughout the entire season. This is going to be a fun game to watch.
This one should be fun. I mean, honestly, a lot of them, it's all fun now because everyone starts the same record, right? Like that Brooklyn game was supposed to be fun last night too until about the second quarter. So sometimes that's going to happen, but I'm going to try and watch as much as I can. Next game, San Antonio and Memphis. We have Memphis favored by 2 at home with an over-under of 230, which I have to assume that's because Memphis is pushing this pace and not the Spurs. How do you feel about this game?
That pace up spot for San Antonio, dangerous pace down spot for Memphis. Everybody plays the Memphis style though because they just push the pace so often and so fast that other teams don't have a choice but to play to that speed. San Antonio, that's just really not their game as of right now yet. Derek White is out. You get DeJounte Murray getting the spot start. If you are looking to get exposure to this game, I have exactly what we're going to put up on the screen right now. The point guard battle between DeJounte Murray and Ja Morant will be absolutely on display tonight. One thing I will bring up to caution about Ja Morant, we're talking about him really stretching his ceiling for us to get there in tournaments, and sitting there at 8,400. That's a steep price to pay for somebody that, you know, you're looking at 55 plus for a guy like Ja Morant. That's not exactly something that I'm too comfortable with. But in your 150 max, in your 20 max, any amount of lineups that you're building, highly recommend getting exposure to this game in the form of the point guard duo between DeJounte Murray and Ja Morant. Look for a ton of turnovers from Ja. One of the league leaders in turnovers last season. A lot of buckets in transition for DeJounte Murray. And now he finally doesn't have Derek White breathing down his neck, at least not yet, because he has a toe injury and he's already been ruled out for this game, as we see on the screen right now. Derek White at the price of $4,600. DeJounte Murray is going to get all the minutes that he can possibly get, and you absolutely love to see it. The guy's a fantasy point per minute producing machine. I love this matchup for both point guards.
Machine. Let's get it. Let's move on. A couple more games, and we're bringing on our friend Ashley Nicole to talk who the hell's going to win these matchups. So we're very excited to get her take on some of these games. Let's talk. We have the Pistons, right? We're talking Pistons. We're talking Timberwolves. Timberwolves favored by 5 at home, over under of 225. I mean, how many games can the Timberwolves really be favored by all season long? Yeah. That's just a weird number to me. How do you feel about this game? Anything you want to play?
Full fade in this one. If you're, for whatever reason, you want exposure to this game because you're a T-Wolves fan, you're a Pistons fan, or just you have a gut feeling, always follow your gut in DFS. I will be full fading this game. If I had to rank certain players in this game, I would have all the exposure that I can get to Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. Look for them to run a clean pick and roll against that abysmal Pistons front court. I mean, Blake Griffin is a shell of what he used to be. I would love for him to be catching bodies and dunking all over people day in, day night there. That was definitely fun to watch when he was out there in Lob City in LA, of course. But he's just not the player that he used to be. Get all the exposure that you can get to Cat and D'Lo, and it stops right there. And then if you're looking for a revenge narrative, D Rose against Minnesota used to play for them. Good matchup.
Like a revenge narrative. Does he have bad blood with Minnesota?
He does, actually. He didn't like that locker room. Yeah, he didn't like that.
Oh, nobody likes that locker room.
He really didn't like that locker room. So, but yeah, this game's going to be a hard pass for me. Two terrible teams. Probably end up being last place in the West and the East, respectively. So, hard pass for me.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that much fun. Sacramento and Denver. We saw what Denver did in the bubble. That was a lot of fun. They're favored by 7.5 with an over-under of 226.5. Anything for this game you like?
Hassan Whiteside getting the spot starter at least will likely play 20 minutes away, whether he's coming off the bench or not. We're likely not going to have that lineup for a little bit. That's why we always love playing on FanDuel and DraftKings. You have the benefit of late swapping your lineups, meaning that you can change players even after the 7 p.m. lock time, as long as the game has not started yet. So if he gets the start, he's somebody that is, I'll throw him a bone and say somewhat viable. I mean, but his ownership is simply too high for somebody that's going to get absolutely bodied by Nikola Jokic. He's not going to be able to get that out there to the 3-point arc, and Nikola Jokic can legitimately drop a 3-point shot there. The Jokers looked unreal in preseason. He's dropping triple doubles in 25 minutes of play. Absolutely can't wait to see what he does in this matchup. Right now I only have exposure to Joker. That's it. This game is another one that I'm passing on. There's a lot of guys that are overpriced, and there's still some value to be had in that $3,000, $3,500 range where we could pay up for Giannis and another certain stud in the last game of the night.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. I'm going to be asleep, but man, I'm excited to look at that box score when I wake up in the morning. Let's go. We have the Utah Jazz. We have the Utah Jazz, Portland Trailblazers. My apologies. Jazz are favored by 2, over under of 226. Is it Dame time?
This is my scariest fade of the slate because, again, you got to plant your flag. I'm going to keep on saying that. You cannot have exposure to everybody. It's not plus EV to be able to do that long term. You got to be able to plant your flag and condense your player pool as much as possible without condensing it too much, and just be able to focus on the right guys and focus on having that right combination, making sure your lineups make sense and have correlation with them together. Damian Lillard is somebody that I'm fading tonight, and it scares the living crap out of me.
It should. It's Dame time.
It really should. It's always Dame time. It's always Dame time. You heard what he said to Steph too, saying that he's going to be chucking bombs out here on opening day, and he's going to be shooting from the half court line. And it's a dangerous fade, but it's something that I'm not going strictly because of that game environment. Whereas, you know what, we'll throw a hypothetical situation out there. I do not have this lineup, but if I was building this lineup, I'm going the back and forth of Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell, and possibly throwing in Jordan Clarkson off the bench as well. If you are playing the narrative that this game is going to go extremely high scoring and it's going to stay tight, similar to what the Vegas spread indicates, you got to get the 2 high scores in this game, and that is easily Dame time. Donovan Mitchell, breakout star in the NBA bubble. You absolutely love to see what he was doing versus Jamal Murray in that series. And then Jordan Clarkson is always that spark off the bench for them. 6 man, and he comes out there to score. He's not out there to play defense. He's not out there to dish the rock. He comes out there to score. Takes over for Donovan Mitchell if he subs in for him. Takes over for an aging Mike Conley. I like what Jordan Clarkson can do at 4,200 in this spot as well.
Here we go. Brian, Rip City Dame over Luka. We'll get to Luka in a second. Dame always kills it on opening night. Yeah, because it's Dame time. He always kills it.
It's always Dame time.
It's always Dame time. Come on. Last game of the night. We're going to be bringing on Ashley Nicole here in a second to talk about some of these games. But, Ghost Man, last game of the night. Just fawn over Luka and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul and throwing Tim Hardaway because our good man Brian loves it. Just talk to it up. Just talk it up.
If you're playing cash tonight, you're playing Luka. If you're playing a single entry GPP, you're playing Luka. If you're playing a free max GPP, you're playing Luka in at least 2 out of 3. No KP, no Porzingis for them tonight. This is a guy that's a walking triple double, and like we said in our preseason show, he can legitimately average 30, 10, and 10, which he fell just short of last season. He's going to end up doing it this season. And you know what? It starts right here in this glorious matchup. Chris Paul will strengthen that defensive unit. But again, it's still a rough unit overall where the Suns are exposed. And this is still a young team where they like to play high-flying offense. I like the Suns to be able to squeak into the playoffs. But again, we're here for fantasy points. We're here for the overs. This is the game that you want exposure to. Do not make a lineup tonight without exposure to this game in the form of a late night hammer in some sort of fashion. You absolutely need to have either, because I'm telling you, 35 to 40% of the field will have Luka Doncic in their lineup. And that is scary for you. If you're sitting stagnant and you do not have Luka Doncic in your lineup, you better hope that you have such a clear path, because everybody's going to be catching up rather quickly. It's almost like what it says in your posture mirror there, like objects are closer than they appear. People with lineups with Luka Doncic, they're closer than they appear. Trust me. So you got to get Luka. Personally, Devin Booker's ownership is twice that of DeAndre Ayton. I like DeAndre Ayton in this matchup, being able to take advantage of a front court that does not have Kristaps Porzingis, matching up largely against Maxi Kleber, perhaps even Dwight Powell. This is a matchup that the big man can absolutely take advantage. And now he has the point guard being able to run the pick and roll with him. You love to see it. If you're not going Ayton, you got to lock in Devin Booker. That's for sure.
Gotta lock up this game. Suns are favored by a point, so it's essentially a pick 'em with an over-under of 233.5, biggest on the slate. So we love to see it. We love to help you win money, and we love chatting with our friend Ashley Nicole. So let's bring her on. Ash, how you doing? You're on mute though. We can't hear you. We wish we could.
That's Summarize 2020. You're on mute.
What's up, Ashley? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
It's a good day.
You like my Knicks jersey? I'm ready. I'm ready.
Absolutely. As long as it's not an Obi top in one, we're good.
No.
I gotta get an Obi one. But this is the OG. That's Patrick Ewing right there. So oh my God, I just dropped it.
Yeah, pick that up.
I love the Cowboys logo too. You absolutely love to see it. The Cowboys merch in the back.
Well, listen, the Cowboys are kind of giving me a hard time this year.
Yeah. So. Guys. NBA, 12 games on. Cowboys, whatever. We could talk about them some other time. We don't need it. All right, Ash. So we know you're a Knicks fan. We wanted to bring you on. I'm here in the New York City market, so I guess I care about the Knicks. It doesn't matter. I have one question and one question only for you. How do you stop Obi Toppin? Because if I'm not mistaken, there ain't no stopping Obi Toppin, right?
Listen, Obi is somebody that I have been rallying for months. I've been manifesting him to the Knicks for at least 6 months. So it was a 50-50 situation. If the Knicks didn't draft him, I was going to have to jump ship at that point because I was going to be fed up. But Obi is somebody who's going to be huge in the future. He's older than a lot of the other guys on the court, the younger guys on the court at least. So he does have that maturity factor. But it's really cool because my dad actually watched his dad Obadiah at Rucker Park back in the day. His dad is a street ball legend in New York. So to be able to watch his son play at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks, put on that orange and blue, I mean, it's a big deal. And I think the key to stopping Obi, I don't know if there is one. And if there was one, I'm not giving it to you guys because I want the Knicks to win. But I think, I've been saying this all preseason, even in the off season, this is not about winning for the Knicks. This is not about competing for a playoff spot. This is not about making a run in the playoffs. What we're looking for, what Knicks fans are looking for, and I think what the guys are looking for obviously guys don't want to go out there and lose, but consistency is key. And we have just been a revolving door for players, for coaches, for front office management, that we're really just looking for a time, a moment where it's like, okay, this is what's going to be. Obviously, guys move around here and there in the offseason. There's rumors Julius Randle may not be there come next season or the season after that. That's fine. But I need consistency. I need a coach like Tibbs who's going to be there more than a season, 2 seasons. The front office, we cleaned house where we needed to. This is about consistency. I need to see a Knicks team that I can believe in. I'm tired of doing this, Michael. I'm tired of doing it.
I can only imagine. I think it's hilarious. I used to be a Nets fan. I won't say I'm a Nets fan now. I used to when they were in New Jersey because I'm in New Jersey, and any good 6-year-old is going to be like, that's where I'm from. Let's go. So I was always a big Nets fan. So I got to ask, as you said, it's not really about winning for the Knicks. And honestly, I think the last 15 years you could say that. So, I guess the joke's on.
Ouch.
You.
Actually, listen, the 2013 Knicks were a good team. Don't do that to me.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome?
Don't do that to me.
Okay, cool. It's almost 2021. I love your enthusiasm though, Ashley. So I got to ask, we got GhostTake before. I got to ask you, do you think the Knicks actually have a chance in this game? They're not favored, or they're kind of big dogs, about 7.5 points. It's actually the biggest on the slate tonight. Chances do you think they have in this game?
I think there's always a chance for the Knicks. If you watch them in the preseason, I think one of the great things about them was that they were hungry. And I think that's all you can ask for, especially again, and it's on a team that you're going to be rebuilding. And it's not about winning this season. So anytime you get any sort of competitiveness from a team, from your guys, that's all you can really ask for. I wouldn't say it's a long shot that we win. I think also if you continue the momentum from the preseason, I mean, if you look how we did against the Cavs, we blew them out by 30 in one preseason game. I mean, again, it is the Cavs and they're not the best team, but I can name a bunch of Knicks squads that would have fumbled that bag. So,
that's true.
I mean, I definitely think that this squad is hungry. I think this squad is looking to win, even though they know that the odds are not in their favor for a lot of the games moving forward. But all I can ask for is a team that's going to go out there and compete. I'm not going to go ahead and say, oh, they're not going to win. They are going to win. I just want to see you compete. I just want to see you go out there and show me that in the future, somewhere down the line, you can do it. So listen, if they win, great. I'm happy. If they lose, great. I'm happy too. I just want to see you go out there and compete. That's all. That's all I need.
You got Tibbs, you got Leon Rose, you got Worldwide Wes, you got RJ Barrett, ain't no stopping Obi Toppin, Julius Randle, he's gone. Ghost, how do you feel about the spread in this one? I think it's 7.5 points. You think Ashley's going to be happy and keep this game close? Maybe they cover, or do you think the Pacers are just going to blow them out?
As long as Julius Randle is able to keep pace with Domantas Sabonis in the front court, then I think they got a shot. 7.5 is a lot. This Indiana offense is nothing special. I mean, I'm a big Malcolm Brogdon guy, but they don't have Victor Oladipo from a few years ago. He doesn't look like he's the same player anymore. This offense really revolves around Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis. Miles Turner he could be a mess on the offensive end. He could be a mess on the defensive end. You have no idea what kind of Miles Turner you're getting. They're talking about trading him, potentially to Boston before they ended up signing TT out there. So you want to talk about a team that lacks an identity. Indiana kind of gets away with that because of the amount of games that they win, because of the conference that they're in, or else they would be borderline in the same position that the Knicks are, where they lack a true identity out there.
I think he's giving the Knicks a compliment. I'm pretty sure. I think. Right?
I do think though that the Knicks are starting to get that identity that he's speaking of, and old Knicks teams, we didn't really have an identity. That's 100% true. We had a bunch of guys out there who were kind of thrown on a team, but they didn't have chemistry. They didn't have an identity. They did not know what team they were, what team they wanted to be. This Knicks team looks completely different, and not just from watching them in preseason. You were able to see guys who want to be there, who want to play. And that's a big thing because a lot of people did not want to play in New York for a very long time. After we lost, Carmelo and that stat era and that team kind of dismantled, after we made that playoff run against Boston and things went downhill, nobody wanted to play there. But these guys want to be there, and it shows in the way that they compete. So I wouldn't sleep on my Knicks tonight. I'm going with a win. We're going to get that dub. Jameis style.
Tell you what, I will place a bet on Knicks plus 7.5 just for you. So we will do that. Michael's going to join me too. If he didn't, if he wasn't planning on doing it, he's in now. He doesn't know yet.
But
He does now. He does
my
now.
money. I will put my money where Ashley's mouth is, I guess. Whatever.
Yes.
However it works, we're gonna put some money. Let's go Knicks plus 7.5. So this is actually fun. So I'm based here in New Jersey. We have Ashley down in warm, sunny Miami. We have Ghost up there in Canada, where we don't even know what temperature it is because they use a completely different number system than we do, I think. So let's move on to a team that you guys know a little bit better. Ashley, the Miami Heat. Rumored to get some guy at some point this offseason. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not here to do that. But it should be a fun game tonight. We're having two teams down in Florida. Heat are favored by 4.5. They're in Orlando. I don't think that point really matters too much. How do you feel about the Heat tonight? Coming off, obviously, an emotional bubble trip. They made it all the way to the end. Couldn't take home that championship, but they made it way further than anyone else could have ever thought of. How do you feel about the Heat tonight going up against a middling Magic team at best?
They're going to get a win. You know, the thing about the Magic and the Heat, whenever they play each other, the Heat usually win these series. It's just they're a better team. They've been a better team for at least a few seasons. And the thing about Miami is I've had the opportunity to speak with the team throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, speak with Coach Spo, and this team knows that a lot of people believe that had it not been for the bubble, they would not have made the finals. They're aware of it. They don't care about that rhetoric, but they're also out to prove people wrong and prove that, listen, it had nothing to do with the bubble. We are just a team that was slept on. I had Miami going very far from the beginning last season in November. I claimed that they were going to go ahead and make the conference finals, which they did. I was surprised they made the finals. But I wasn't surprised about the heart and the talent of this team. I think a lot of people were because they didn't have a lot until recently. They didn't have a lot of big names. People weren't aware of who was on this squad. You know, Bam Adebayo, some people knew him, some people didn't. Tyler Hero, some people knew him, some people didn't. Now that bubble kind of put the spotlight on this team. You know who Bam Adebayo is now. You know who Tyler Hero is now. So I think with that spotlight, it puts another level of added pressure. But this Heat team is up for the challenge, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Do I think they're going to go back to the finals? I don't know. I think the Nets are a really great team, and I think that's a team in the East that you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to beat. But don't be surprised if you see Miami in those conference finals again, or you see them going far in the playoffs. This team has heart, and they're definitely beating the Magic tonight.
Yeah, I think they'll beat the Magic tonight. I also just love Jimmy Butler when he went on that tirade in Minnesota. I was like, oh, this guy's an asshole. And then you find out, I was like, actually, no, everybody else was an asshole. He just wanted to win. Ghost Man, how do you feel about the Heat minus 4.5 tonight?
Absolutely love it. For me, it's just the amount of offensive contributors that these guys have on that side of the ball. I mean, you end up looking at some other teams. I mean, even with the Nets, we saw when KD and Kyrie came off the court last night, Karis LeVert goes out and does his thing. Joe Harris is banging threes. Spencer Dinwiddie is doing his thing. Like, it's very similar to what the Miami Heat have in, you know what, if Jimmy Butler wants to lock down Giannis in a 7-game series, that's fine. We don't need him on the offensive end. We got Tyler Hero to pick up the slack. Goran Dragic is out there. Duncan Robinson is quietly one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire league right now. Like, Bam could do his thing on both ends of the court. Like, this is a team that is scary deep, and that's exactly what you need to end up making a deep playoff run. When you end up getting up against teams like Milwaukee now, who just shipped their entire future to acquire Jrue Holiday. Their bench is completely depleted. You might even see a guy like Dante DiVincenzo starting in a 7-game series, and the Miami Heat have Tyler Hero or Goran Dragic or Duncan Robinson coming off the bench. Like that to me is like when you get in that 8 to 12 minute mark of the first quarter, and then the first 4 minutes of the second quarter, that's where Miami can really separate from their opponents. And I think that's exactly what happens tonight. Orlando is not exactly the deepest team. You take a look at when Tyler Hero steps onto the court, and Orlando's going to counter that with Terrence Ross. Come on now.
Yikes.
Yeah. And adding to that point, that was something that I said when they were making their run in the bubble, is that a lot of people did not understand, because a lot of people were not watching Miami Heat games until they were in that bubble and it was national television. I mean, let's be honest. I was obviously living down here in Miami, but a lot of people were not checking for them. A lot of people were not watching them. A lot of people were not analyzing them. One of the scariest things about the Miami Heat team, and one of the greatest things about them, is the fact that at any point, regardless of who is on that floor, you have somebody who can shoot. And that is the difference maker. You have somebody who can put up points. So if one person has a bad game, you have 4 other people on that floor who can carry your slack. And that's something that a lot of teams don't have. You have a handful of shooters on a team, and those guys, if you double team them, the ball's forced to somebody who can't really shoot. Therefore, the offense struggles. In Miami, you don't have that problem. everybody has the talent to where if one person's being locked down or one person's having a bad game, the rest of the team can pick up the slack and they can do the same defensively. And that is what makes them a team that you have to look out for.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm all for the Heat. Honestly, it's the jerseys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Those Vice jerseys. I mean, I watched a lot of Miami Vice.
When I gotta get a Tyler Hero one.
Yeah, I would be totally down. Maybe you're going to get one for Christmas, Ghost. Let's shoot Jason. I think he's watching. Jason, buy a Ghost Tyler Hero Miami. Oh, better. We'll get the Raptors version. How about that? We'll get you a Van Vliet Raptors version of those Tampa Bay Raps. That should be fun. But it's the jerseys. I watched a lot of Miami Vice when I was in college. We turned it into a drinking game. Absolutely a blast show. So I'm all for it. So we have about 10-ish minutes left. I know Ghost has to get running soon, but there's 2 more games that I do want to talk about before we let him go do what he needs to do. First game, Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics. Bucks favored by 4 on the road. Nice total, 223. Ashley, does Giannis just come and show out tonight against this slightly depleted Boston team with no Kemba Walker?
I don't think Giannis is the issue. I think it's more about the other guys or lack thereof on that team that I'm more concerned about. Obviously, Giannis can go out there and drop 30 plus. I'm not worried about Giannis, but he right now, I mean, Drew Holiday, yes, he is on the team, but how much time have they really had to formulate a chemistry with each other? I mean, that team looks a lot different. You don't have a solid bench, so unless you're going to play Giannis the entire game, when he rests, that's going to give the Celtics a chance to even that score if they are behind. So it's not so much Giannis I'm concerned about. I think for me, I'm watching this Bucks game more from an analytic perspective, not really concerned about who wins. I want to see how they do with what they have and what they don't have, rather. I want to see what happens when you sit Giannis, what that bench looks like. I want to see how Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton kind of help relieve the workload of Giannis. That's what I'm looking for. So can they win this game? Absolutely. I do think the Celtics are a great team. I'm a big Brad Stevens fan. I think he's an incredible coach. I think that he has a real way with his players, a real way with this team. So for me, I'm not really concerned about who wins. If I had to pick, I would say just for the momentum portion, I actually am going to pick the Celtics to win this one. I don't think the Bucks are going to pull this out. But if they do, I'm more concerned with the analytics of it than I am about the points on the board.
I love it. Just a nice, appreciate you, Jason. Ghost is getting a medium size, medium. I'm sorry, a medium Aaron Baines jersey. So there you go. Ghost man, how do you feel? I mean, you talked about it already. Obviously, the Bucks depleted bench. Giannis is a monster, especially in the fantasy game. But how do you feel about -4 on the road? It's chilly in Boston, right? It's chilly up there. It's closer.
Not like Milwaukee.
Good point. Great point. Great point.
No, it's not chilly compared to here. That's
true. It's like what 0 where you are right now.
Yeah. And we just got a snowstorm, so it's really bad.
Welcome to Canada, everybody.
That's it. Welcome. But this game, I will be taking a wait and see approach on this Milwaukee Bucks team. I just have a feeling it's going to be very similar to what we saw with the Clippers last night. These guys have so much talent with their starting 5 that they get away with staying in games or possibly getting 8 to 10 point leads. And then a guy like Giannis steps off the court, and if Chris Middleton's shot is not dropping or Drew can't find a way to slash to the hoop, they're not scoring, and then that lead diminishes rather quickly. So we saw the Clips were up by who knows how much yesterday. They took both PG and Kawhi off the court at the same time, and all of a sudden you saw what's called LeBron and AD come out, and they just diminished that lead, and they were down by 2 at halftime. So like for me, it's Boston has a deep enough bench where that they're not just going to be behind by 2 at halftime. They can actually take the lead when Giannis steps off that court. So I want to take a wait and see approach from a betting perspective, but I think Giannis goes out there and does his thing. That definitely going to be dropping 30 plus tonight. I mean, Jason Tatum, absolutely love him. I know you love him, Michael, too. Obviously, a former Duke Blue Devil, of course, but nobody can guard Giannis. There's nobody that can guard Giannis other than Anthony Davis. So for me to be able to I'll give him the edge on the one-on-one matchup there. For me, it's more so, again, I'm sharing what Ashley just said before, and that's I share concern over what's being pieced around him. Chris Middleton is not a 1A, 1B type run mate. It's not a Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. It's not it's not any of these formidable duos that they have. And I don't even want to even put them in the same kind of conversation as LeBron, AD, or Kawhi and PG or any of these other guys. But when we're looking at these, tier 2 duos, when we're talking about Luka and Porzingis, or again, like any of those duos, Chris Middleton is not that guy for me. He doesn't get it done. So I'm curious to see if Drew Holiday actually takes over that role on the offensive end. But their bench is virtually non-existent. So I'm staying away as far as possible. I'm getting my shares in Giannis and DFS, but from a betting perspective, I want to wait and see what this Bucks teams look like.
I just want to see if more people hop into Dante DiVincenzo's DMs. Those were fun after that national championship game. That was an absolute blast. Shout out Big Dante. All right, last game of tonight for us and last game of the night. We have the Dallas Mavericks traveling over to sunny Phoenix, Arizona. I lived there. It was great. Phoenix favored by a point, over under highest on the slate, 233.5. Ashley, we got Luka. No KP. We got Luka. We got Devin Booker. Ghost loves him. He says it every time. The point got him. Chris Paul. We have DeAndre Ayton. Hopefully no more PEDs for him. How do you feel about this game? This one might just be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be up watching it, probably like with one eye trying to fight.
Yeah, I'm going to be asleep. So appreciate you for watching it for me.
But I think I have the Suns winning this one. I think the addition of Chris Paul is really going to help Devin Booker out. He's not going to have to go as hard. You have somebody who can score. Chris Paul is one of my favorite players in the league. He's one of my favorite players. You know, if I had to list my top 50, he's definitely in there. I just think that it's going to be a new Phoenix Suns team, a revived Phoenix Suns team. I think the lack of KP in Dallas is going to hurt Luka until he can come back. You saw what happened in the bubble. He had games where he was hot, but then he had some games where you can see that he was really missing having his partner in crime, if you will, to help take some of the stress off of him, some of the responsibility off of him. So I think we're going to see some of that again. And also there were pictures and reports, I don't know how accurate, that Luka may have put on some weight. So if that is the case, then I don't know how that's going to affect his game. It could have just been bad Photoshop, or it could have just been he had like 4 t-shirts on at one time. I don't know, i.e. James Harden. But yeah, if that's the case, you know, definitely with the way Luka plays and his ankle situation, he definitely is not somebody who I think needs any extra weight. So I'm just curious to see how he's going to look, but I think the Suns are going to take this one.
I think he's going to be completely fine. Again, I lived in Phoenix. It gets kind of chilly at night. So 4 t-shirts, maybe he was just a little cold. I don't know. Ghostman, how do you feel about this? I know this is one of your favorite games of the night in DFS. It's going to be a fun one to bet. Of course, we're going to smash that over. That's going to be a blast. But what do you think? Who do you think takes it home?
I have the Suns money line in this one.
Nice.
I just think that team lacked I don't even want to just say veteran presence. It's more so just an actually good veteran that contributes on the floor too. Like being what like Chris Paul, Devin Booker finally has that mentor that he needs, and people don't realize how long Devin Booker's already been in the league. Like this guy's had it with these losing seasons. Like this guy, it seems like he's already been in the league for 15 years, and I'm 99% sure he's a year older than me. I'm pretty sure he's 24 years old, and he's already been in the league for such a long time that he doesn't want losing seasons anymore. Bringing in Chris Paul to that backcourt, it really gives him not only a mentor to be able to continue to grow his game, but really just a calming influence in the locker room, on the court as well. And it also takes a boatload of pressure off of Devin Booker on the offensive end, because DeAndre Ayton can finally run the pick and roll with somebody that's made to run the pick and roll. Devin Booker can obviously do everything that he wants to on the offensive end. He's one of the most talented players in the league, in my opinion, but he's not meant to run a pick and roll and be able to, you know, dish it to DeAndre Ayton as he's diving to the hoop. So Chris Paul is that guy. You're going to have Devin Booker being more so of a spot-up shooter and really playing more off-ball. It's going to be a scary Suns offense, and Chris Paul brings that calming influence for them to be able to move the ball really well. I don't want to go out and say it's as strong as what the Nets did last night, but it's going to be a similar fashion to, you know, what they're going to be running in transition, and Chris Paul's going to push the pace. He's going to look vintage tonight. I'm really looking forward to this matchup.
This should be an absolute blast. I am disappointed I will be asleep, but hopefully you guys stay awake and watch it for me. And I'm just going to check the box score tomorrow and just see all the points. I think it's going to be a blast. But Ashley, thank you so much for hopping on. We expect to do this a lot more this season, to talk some NBA. We'll see. Is it possible to stop Obi Toppin? I don't think so. We're going to find out tonight. I'm going to put that bet in right as we get off. Ashley, just in case, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You guys can find me at Ash Nicole Moss. It's right there in the corner, or right there. It's one right there in the corner. It's right there on Instagram and on Twitter. So
love it. Ghostman, where can everyone find you?
At DFS_Ghost over on Twitter, and of course with the Win Daily Sports team in our Discord chat. Make sure you guys come and join.
WinDailySports.com/chat, 7 free days in that instant messenger chat where we talk about sports and help you win money. You can find me at Michael Raziel one more time. We have our NBA offer, $150 for the entire season. We'll give you all the sports and help you make money in all of them. Me at Michael Raziel 1. I think I said that. Her at Ash Nicole Moss. Him at DFS_goes. Us at Win Daily Sports. Make sure to smash the like button, as the YouTubers like to say, because I think we're YouTubers now, guys. It's kind of cool. Hopefully we get like Jake Paul famous one of these days. But for Ashley, for Ghost, for myself, for the rest of the Win Daily Sports family, for everybody over here at HNB Media, for everybody in the chat, we appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you and hope you make it a very profitable second night, big, super sweet slate in the NBA.